Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we've been talking about NXT from September the 12th, 2023. An excellent in between the ropes episode of NXT. You won't find better matches on American television than on NXT this week. Truly phenomenal in-ring stuff, at least from 2 matches. The rest of the stuff, They went kind of light on story, which is not my favorite thing. They leaned into the matches, and the matches really delivered. So that was the strong suit of this week, is intriguing matches that you might want to enjoy. Not much in the way of news and notes, unless you're really excited about this TKO group thing, which it is what it is on that tip. So let's get into this episode of NXT. First, a absolute banger. Ilya Dragunov versus Wes Lee. Number 1 contenders for the NXT Championship. It was tremendous. I mean, Ilya Dragunov hit some of the cleanest German suplexes on this match that I've probably seen in a long time. Which takes us back to Medusa, who criticized Brock Lesnar, saying that his suplex form was unsafe because he always threw people over his head. It was unsafe. Somebody could get hurt. Interestingly enough, somebody posted a video of of Medusa doing a German suplex to Sherry Martel and dropping her on her head, meaning that Medusa dropped Sherry on her head and knocked her unconscious. This was in WCW. The form was so garbage that it looked like she picked up a sack of potatoes and threw it over her head. It was not good, but these German suplexes were actually very good. They even had a German suplex on the announce table, which was very impressive. I always thought that was pretty cool. The kick to Kobashi, chops in the corner by Ilya Dragunov, which actually fits his character. Otherwise, not really all that interested in those things. Ilya Dragunov did a charged lariat, where basically it was like something out of Street Fighter, like a video game thing. It was so ridiculous, and yet somehow he made it fit into this match. Just the physicality of it, because Dragunov really takes the physicality level to higher and higher. I mean, if he wasn't so small, he would be like the second coming of Sheamus, It's just that he's that damn fierce in his opponent and his toughness. Dragunov ends up winning with the diving forearm smash, which they call the H-bomb. He did one to the back of the head in order to get the win. This is a great showcase of Wes Lee's toughness, because Dragunov literally was hitting him with pretty much everything that he's got. And Wes Lee kept coming back. So really good counters and stuff here. Really good match. So Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes is set for No Mercy. Dragunov was on Busted Open Radio and has said that he's enjoying his journey in NXT and not in a rush to get called up. And he wants to just sort of enjoy the journey or whatever. Which is like right there at the borderline of I would rather stay in NXT, which is what pissed me off before about some of these guys. But it seemed like he's willing to accept it if that's his lot in life. But he's not in a rush. So, okay. Later, we got Carmelo Hayes, because he's on this show. And he ends up having a couple of run-ins. He has a run-in with Dominic Mysterio first. Dominic Mysterio kind of gave him a little bit of shit about being original, about having his opponents fight each other and figure out who was going to wrestle him, and said that Carmelo Hayes can't beat Ilya Dragunov. When Melo started trying to chew him out, Dominic said, at one point you called this, the North American title, the A Championship. So that means I'm the A Champion. So Carmelo Hayes was like, nah. It wasn't the championship. I was the A Champion. So Carmelo wants to wrestle Dominic Mysterio, and they sets up a match next week that's, quote, not about titles. So it's non-title champion versus champion. Dominic Mysterio versus Carmelo Hayes. When he pitched this idea, Dominic told him to go talk to mommy about it. So that was pretty much his version of, yeah, whatever. Later, Carmelo Hayes went to go talk to Trick Williams. Trick Williams was watching a video between Joe Gacy and Ava Raine as they were complaining about Schism's tree being rotten and how they're now isolated and not feeling so good. They're feeling lonely. So Trick Williams is also lonely. Oh, poor Trick Williams. Carmelo Hayes is like, no, you're not lonely. I'm here with you all the time. Then Trick Williams offered to be in his corner for this match against Dominic Mysterio because, mommy, Judgment Day, something bad's going to end up happening. But Carmelo Hayes said, you know what? Nah, I'm good. And that kind of made Trick Williams feel bad. Then they said, well, their friendship is unlimited outside of these walls. They're going to do their own thing, but outside of the walls, they're the best of friends. Now, as they've just made this comment, poor old Charlie Brown, Wes Lee, backstage is packing up his stuff, putting his name plate and everything, taking it off his locker. He got himself a suitcase, got a handkerchief with a stick, and he's going to walk on out of here. The interviewer caught up with him as he was leaving. He said that he told himself that if he does not win, if he does not go to No Mercy, then he should go home. He lost to Dragunov. He was the better man tonight, and he's going home. So Wes Lee is giving up. He's throwing in the towel. He's quitting. So interesting angle, kind of necessary because you got to do something with Wes Lee to make him interesting. But I'm really liking the Judgment Day angle on Carmelo Hayes. I hope and I pray that they don't decide to have Damian Priest cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Carmelo Hayes and for him to take that title. I know that that's something that hasn't been mentioned yet, but considering what they did to Austin Theory and what they did with Becky Lynch, I would not be surprised if that was their way of really trying to elevate the NXT title by having Damian Priest take it off of Carmelo Hayes via Money in the Bank. That would suck so bad. I would not be a fan of that whatsoever. But I was actually okay with it if Austin Theory had done it. I'm not so sure about if Damian Priest does it. But we'll see. It just popped into my head that Carmelo Hayes is now going into the realm of Judgment Day. And he's going into the realm of Judgment Day without any help. So, is it possible that Judgment Day just kicks his ass and then Damian Priest cashes in the Money in the Bank and takes his title? Ugh, that would be so weird. I would not like that at all. But they still brewing this thing with Melo and Trick. I'm guessing Trick is still smiling and being a good guy, still being jovial. I can see the heel turn coming, though. I can see that Trick Williams is going to get tired of, offering to be in his corner and being denied. And going to make it seem like they're not friends anymore. So that's coming. And I can see it coming. But Dragunov versus Melo, that seems fun to me. It's about time for Dragunov to get that belt. So I'm cool with it. Next, Von Wagner was carried out of NXT last week. Had the internet in an uproar because people kept posting videos of, oh my God, Braun Breaker really hit him in the head with the stairs. It's a really real thing. Look at Booker T's face. Oh my God. Braun Breaker should be fired. And people kept posting the video from different angles to show you how dangerous it was that Braun Breaker hit Von Wagner in the head with these stairs. But anybody with a modicum of common fucking sense would have known that he didn't literally hit him in the head with the stairs. Jesus Christ, you idiots. Anyway, because Von Wagner has a history of skull injuries, which goes back to his baby picture when he had to have brain surgery or whatever the hell. This minor skull fracture that he's got needs to be monitored, so there's no timetable for his recovery, no timetable for his return. This led to Baron Corbin coming out there, and Baron Corbin is cut off by Braun Breaker, who wants to brag about the terrible things he did to Von Wagner, and that he loved the chaos and the fear that it caused that he smashed Von Wagner's head in. But Baron Corbin said he wanted to be nice. He wanted to pay Braun Breaker's fine, but Braun isn't interested. He didn't want to even talk to Baron Corbin. It said that he doesn't care about Baron Corbin standing in the ring with greats and doesn't care about his resume. Baron Corbin said, well, you should care about my respect, and Braun Breaker doesn't care about that either. Says he don't want his respect and he don't need it, and the two of them started fighting, and this is going to lead to Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin at No Mercy, and I'm saying this is a waste of Braun Breaker. A heel versus heel match is a waste of Braun Breaker. My God, you don't have baby faces to put over? You don't have baby faces that need to be built up, or somebody that can help this guy? Why does it have to be Baron Corbin? This sucks. Come on. Come on, Sean. You cockeyed halfwit. Next, the second match, 6-man tag. Briggs, Jensen, and Miles Bourne versus Damon Kemp, Drew Gulak, and Charlie Dempsey. They did an interesting angle here where Fallon Henley fell into the arms, or she got pulled away by Miles Bourne. And they had a little bit of a moment where the camera was on them and they were looking at each other. And of course, Fallon Henley was the one who recruited Miles Bourne to the team. But Miles Bourne then turned heel, smashed Jensen's head against the ring post, and he ended up losing. So Bourne turned on his own partners to impress the guys who he is with at the gym, because he works out with Kemp, Gulak, and Dempsey. And he was looking to impress them by turning on Jensen. But so Fallon Henley is going to be stuck in the middle here, where she thinks that this Miles Bourne is a good guy, and Jensen and all of these guys are going to think that he's bad. And Bourne's going to be like, well, I was just trying to get in with the guys that I work with or whatever. Interesting stuff here. I didn't care at all about the 6-man tag, though. Thankfully, it was short. It wasn't long, but I didn't care about it. Next, Andre Chase wanted his team, well, his students, I guess you should say, to watch Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch for homework. Duke Hudson has an NXT watch party to participate in, because he's still in that silly tournament that they're doing. It's still going on, fellas. Anyway, they both wanted to know where Thea Hail was. And they find out that Duke Hudson can no longer find Thea Hail. Either she's not answering her phone, or she turned her location off, or whatever the hell it was. So we move over to JC Jane and Thea Hail. They're in a bar or a club or somewhere, and a couple of guys come over to hit on them. And JC is the apple of their eye when it comes to Thea. They start making jokes about her being a little girl. At this point, JC Jane slaps one of the guys, and Thea Hail says, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't need permission. Because one of the jokes was that if she needed permission from Andre Chase to be out so late, and she out past her bedtime. Really things about her being young and inexperienced and silly and stuff like that. So together they beat up the guys, JC and Thea, to show that Thea Hail is all grown up. She's not taking no guff. Okie dokie. If you say so, boss. Look, I like JC Jane and Thea Hail together. JC Jane being the corrupting force. I'm cool with that. So them beating up like random nobody guys, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I did see a snowflake getting really upset about, why are they making jokes about Thea Hail being young? It's so uncomfortable. She was literally in high school 2 years ago. It's like, yeah, that was 2 years ago. She's 20 years old now. She's in college, technically. Chase University is not a high school. It's a college. It's a university. You idiot. But people are just always, this paternalistic relationship that some people have with girls and women is ridiculous. Like, Jesus Christ, Thea Hill's entire gimmick now is trying to prove to people that she's all grown up and that she's not a kid. And you have commentators still treating her like she's a fucking kid. Like, come on, she's an adult. That's the whole point of the character. We're telling you over and over again that Thea Hail may act like a child. She may be very young, but she is an adult. How does this miss in you? Like, this is a PG program. This ain't like you trying to figure out an abstract painting or something like that. All right, next. Dana Brooke loses to Lyra Valkyria. The crowd was actually split on Dana Brooke and really didn't give Lyra Valkyria just any credit. It was more of a, let's go Dana, Dana sucks kind of thing. Not a, let's go Lyra thing. Or Lyra, you rule, or nothing. It's just kind of like, Dana sucks. Let's go Dana, Dana sucks. Lyra Valkyria wins with the top rope splash. Kalani Jordan stopped Dana Brooke from attacking Lyra Valkyria from behind after she offered Dana Brooke her hand to shake. So they haven't turned Dana Brooke fully heel yet, but they're getting pretty close to it. They're very close to it. Next, the women's breakout tournament is coming. It's a thing. They don't have a men's breakout tournament. They have a women's breakout tournament. What's the big deal? What's up with that? Anyway, Roxanne Perez was talking about how she won the breakout tournament last year and how it really changed her life, and how she lost her best friend over the breakout tournament and all this kind of stuff. She was then confronted by Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez, who heard that Roxanne Perez likes tearing up the locker room and causing trouble. To which Roxanne Perez was like, so what? Chaos is inevitable around here. What you gonna do about it? Then Lola Vice said that she's gonna beat Roxanne Perez next week, and then she's gonna win the breakout tournament. So Lola Vice is gonna wrestle Roxanne Perez next week, and I guess she's also going to be in the breakout tournament. Okay, I'm not against that. I think it's about time for us to see Lola Vice in a singles match anyway. So, okay, fine. I don't know what's up with Roxanne Perez. That she's out of the title picture and doesn't seem to care about that. Very weird. And what makes me think that she's tough all of a sudden? Yeah, I'm causing locker room trouble. What you gonna do about it? I'm like, what are you, crazy? You know, when did you start being super tough and, getting in people's faces? Next, you got Eddie Thorpe out there being whiny, tired of Dijak cheating. Dijak went on location to the desert where Eddie Thorpe supposedly does all his rituals and ceremonies, which Dijak says don't work. And then he started, quote, marking Eddie Thorpe's territory by whipping, I don't know, a wall or something like that with a belt. I don't know what was going on, man. I was legitimately just sitting there like, I don't like these guys. So I don't really care what they're doing. At the same time, I didn't get why he was doing it. Maybe it went over my head. Maybe I missed something. But I didn't understand why he was whipping a wall, and all of a sudden that's supposed to piss off Eddie Thorpe, and it actually did. Kind of silly. Next, Heritage Cup Tournament, Tyler Bate defeated Axiom. That cockeyed half-wit Shawn Michaels refused to turn Tyler Bate heel. I don't get it. Noam Dar is dressed like he's on a safari, which includes an inflated elephant that he's riding, and he's looking through one of those long binoculars. It's absolutely retarded, and I'm not understanding why he's doing this, but he's doing it. The fans didn't have much reaction to this match other than chanting Power Ranger at Axiom, which he does look like a Power Ranger. He does look like a Power Ranger. Also, reminding everybody that Axiom is from Spain. When he speaks with a perfect English accent. Okay. Very weird. In between the ropes, this was a good match, but it's babyface versus babyface, hard for me to get into. Also, Tyler Bate is stale. Axiom is stale, and I don't like the gimmick. So, it was hard for me to care about this match. They did do the watch party stuff, though, by having everybody watch this match. Because it's really coming down to the wire. Now that Tyler Bate has won, his next match is against Butch. So Butch cut a promo saying that he and Tyler go way back. They got history. They did their tryout matches together. He was actually Tyler Bates' first opponent when Tyler Bates started when he was 15. But now is not the time to reminisce. Now it's time for victory. And next week is Fight Night, which is, fine. The next Heritage Cup match was Nathan Frazer defeating Akira Tozawa. Nathan Frazer fast as fuck. Just a bullet. And that kid's fast, man. He ends up winning the match with the corkscrew suplex. Akira Tozawa has won a grand total of 0 matches in this tournament, which is not surprising because it's Akira Tozawa. So now Nathan Frazer, Duke Hudson, and Joe Coffey all have the same score. And I guess this is Group B. They're in a 3-way tie. So now we got to start doing all the math. And mathematically, if Joe Coffey wins next week over Duke Hudson, he's going to the finals. But if Duke Hudson wins, then he spoils Joe Coffey's run, and it's a 3-way tie. So Joe Coffey says that he was the favorite coming into this tournament from the beginning, and now the only thing standing in his way is Duke Hudson, which he kind of laughed at. So Duke Hudson then said that you can laugh at me all you want, but I've come to be the spoiler. Which, look, there's too much. It's too much number crunching and not enough single elimination stuff. We really should do single elimination in these tournaments, for Christ's sake. But this Heritage Cup thing is almost over. I don't know which way it's going to go. And at this point, it's hard for me to care. You know, like, there's not too many stories being told in the tournament. It's just that, hey, me and this guy have some history from the past. It's like, okay, you could have did a regular tournament and we could have been done with this at this point. For Christ's sake. We're not even doing the rules. Like, the rules of the Heritage Cup is best 2 out of 3 falls with, like, rounds and shit. Like, you're not even doing that for the tournament. So why is the championship match different from the tournament matches? This is ridiculous. Nobody's explaining this shit to me yet. Next, Becky Lynch was backstage in NXT. She said last time she was in NXT, it was about survival. And nobody thought she was championship material. And here it is, 10 years later, she's just as passionate as ever, just as focused as ever. Kiana James got into her face and said that she doesn't like Becky Lynch, doesn't want her in NXT, nor as champion. And she's lucky, very, very lucky, that Becky Lynch is not facing her tonight, but instead facing Tiffany Stratton. And Becky Lynch ends up saying that, so basically you've talked yourself into an ass whooping. When I win the title, you're going to get the first shot. And we already know how this main event worked out. But next, she also went and hugged up on Lyra Valkyria. They apparently know each other from the old country. And Beck said Lyra Valkyria is doing everyone proud back home. And Lyra Valkyria, of course, endorsed Becky Lynch in the main event. I didn't know Lyra Valkyria was Irish. I swear. It's hard for me to tell. But apparently Lyra Valkyria is Irish. So that explains a lot. But why is she a Viking if she's Irish? I don't know. Does it matter? Probably not. But we're just in this situation. All right, main event time. Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Women's Championship. One of the best women's matches on television probably ever. Tiffany Stratton looked amazing. Becky Lynch actually matched her in agility. I literally popped when Becky Lynch did like a cartwheel escape from Tiffany Stratton, because she never does anything like that. So she's basically in her John Cena US Championship mode, where she's going to start going out there doing weird shit just to get people's attention. Because when Tiffany Stratton started doing like the Trish Stratus Matrix move, then Becky Lynch ended up doing it. And I was very impressed by Becky Lynch's agility, especially at her advanced age in this match. You know, at her big age. And her big age is like she's nearly 40. So I was very impressed. This match was just so good. Tiffany Stratton is amazing. She did an absolutely perfect swanton bomb from the top rope. It ended up only for a 2 count. It was very good. There was a counter to an arm bar that Becky Lynch put Tiffany Stratton in an arm bar. Tiffany Stratton did the old Roman Reigns spot where she was going to lift her up and go backwards. But then when she lifted Becky Lynch turned it into a hurricanrana. It was very cool. They did a Russian leg sweep off the second rope. Also very cool. They were outside the ring for a little long as Becky Lynch set up for a leg drop through the table, because she ended up putting Tiffany Stratton on the table as Tiffany Stratton was trying to put her through the table. So they were outside the ring for a little while so Becky could pose, and Booker T, who steadfastly was not trying to move so this thing could happen. But she tried to do a leg drop through the table, and there was not enough oomph on that leg drop at all. And plus, Becky Lynch weighs probably 70 pounds, so the table didn't break. So then she put her in the ring, did a leg drop again, and still only got a 2 count. The big finish came with Tiffany Stratton trying to hit the prettiest moonsault after the steamroller, but Becky Lynch moved. So Tiffany Stratton landed on her feet, like she kind of did like a little bit of a tumble roll. And when she recovered, Becky Lynch was there with the manhandle slam. 1, 2, 3. Becky Lynch is the NXT Women's Champion. The eternal wrong has been righted. And the one four horsewoman who had never won the NXT title finally got it. And she did it by beating up on somebody who's only their second year in the business. Absolutely tremendous match. Tiffany really shined here. She was excellent. This is only like the second or third time Tiffany Stratton's been pinned, so it's not that big of a deal. Of course, NXT has a history of doing this. They did it to Braun Breaker, was it last year or 2 years ago, where they had Dolph Ziggler win the title from him and ended up dropping it back to Braun Breaker. So I'm guessing that Tiffany Stratton will end up winning the title back from Becky Lynch. But this is an absolutely fantastic rub that Becky Lynch gave to Tiffany Stratton here. And I know a lot of people have been very critical of Becky Lynch, especially lately, and of her character and her matches. This is undeniable. Like this in that cage match, were two matches where it was absolutely undeniable that Becky Lynch is a top-level female wrestler. You know, I've never really had a problem with her in-ring stuff. I was always more of the character stuff. But if you look at how she's been doing, especially with opponents who are not as polished as she is, for instance, her really good match that she had with Liv Morgan on Raw, what was this, last year when she was a heel, Becky Lynch can have really good matches out of people. I think she really had good matches out of Trish Stratus too. Well, the first match and the cage match, I thought they were very good. So I can't attack Becky Lynch's in-ring prowess. It was mostly I couldn't really get into her character work. But in the ring, she's really good. She gave Tiffany Stratton a hell of a platform tonight, and Tiffany stole the show. She did a really good job. And I can't say enough good things about this match and these girls. They really killed it. All right, back to the regular part of the show. The Creed brothers defeated Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. The match didn't last long at all. These poor guys are never going to get off the ground. Then Hank and Tank came out there. They wanted to fight the Creed brothers too, and ended up getting jumped by Scripps and his boys. I don't know where we're going with that. That seemed goofy. Mustafa Ali, he was backstage as well. He was being disingenuous, saying that he doesn't want his championship victory undermined, well, his number one contendership victory, undermined by Dominic Mysterio cheating. And then he said when the fans booed, they booed Dominic, not him. And then he did the right thing and he attacked that outsider, that convict, and he's going to free the NXT North American title from him next week. Well, I shouldn't say next week. I should say at No Mercy. Dragon Lee walks in and asks Mustafa Ali if he thought the count was a little fast. Mustafa Ali said, well, look, it's not up to me. The referee's decision is final. But if you feel like you were unfairly screwed out of this match, I will give you the first shot as soon as I win the title. Then he slithers away, and Dragon Lee says that he's not done with Mustafa Ali. This is all fine. Now, Mustafa Ali being sort of a disingenuous tweener, because Dominic Mysterio is a hated heel, it would make sense for you to give us a babyface to wrestle him. I don't know why Shawn is now all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's do babyface versus babyface, heel versus heel. Like, No Mercy has 2 heel versus heel matches. Mustafa Ali and Dominic Mysterio is a heel versus heel match. And Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker is a heel versus heel match. Why would you book these things this way? I don't understand why you would do that. I just don't get that. So, it's very weird decision making. But, Dragon Lee still in the hunt. Okay, fine. Blair Davenport ends up getting attacked backstage by somebody in a black hoodie. And then we ended up figuring out that it was Gigi Dolan who had assaulted Blair Davenport backstage. Interesting angle here. Of course, this is playing off of Blair Davenport attacking people backstage when she was doing that. And they're continuing that feud. Okay, fine. That was the show. The show is pretty good in ring. Need more punch in terms of story. The really great angle to close the show on last week with Brian Breaker caving Von Wagner's skull in. Unfortunately, it leads to a Brian Breaker Baron Corbin match, which I think is an absolute waste. You know, it's an absolute waste. I don't know what else you could do with Brian Breaker, but having him wrestle Baron Corbin is a waste. Excellent match between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch. I'm interested in seeing where it goes for Tiffany. Clearly, she's going onward and upward. Becky Lynch is going to be walking around with the NXT title for a little while. Maybe she's going to defend it on Raw and Smack. I'm sorry, I would say Raw and SmackDown, but Raw. Now you have quite a few NXT championships being held by main roster talent, which I know defeats the point. Like Dominic Mysterio being the NXT North American champion is fun and it's good because he's a young talent and he's in that age group. But Becky Lynch being significantly older, a WrestleMania main eventer, does not need to be the NXT Women's Champion, and probably it's not really good for her. It's almost like when Charlotte won it. It's like people are not going to really remember when she loses it, you know? It's very odd decision making to give her that belt. They basically have been doing the main roster steamrolling the NXT talent lately, because then they have the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. They came up to the main roster and immediately lost their titles to the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and then were freshly kicked off the show. And I don't think they've been back on the show since. That's Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They haven't been on SmackDown since they lost those titles. So it don't always go as well as the Dolph Ziggler winning the NXT Championship, and he was around and doing fun stuff on NXT. Sometimes it comes across as the main roster talent is just they have nothing going on the main roster, and we're going to super push them down here for a little while, and that's no good. Hopefully it doesn't end up like that with Becky Lynch, and she actually helps get somebody over. But I don't like the idea that two people who are primarily Raw wrestlers are champions in NXT too. Especially at the same time. If Dominic had dropped his title and then Becky Lynch picked up hers, I think it would have been a little bit better. But doing it at the same time kind of makes NXT feel second rate. You know, like it's literally like, hey, I won the Super Bowl already. I'm going to go back and try to win a national championship in NCAA. That's not fair. You know, it's a different league. We don't really need that. And hopefully this ends up with Tiffany Stratton end up beating Becky Lynch later on down the line, or maybe they'll use it to put over Roxanne Perez or somebody else. But Tiffany Stratton feels like she's made after this. She feels, you know, good. I'm not so sure if she's ready for the main roster, but she seemed like she's solid after this. The rest of the show, that Heritage Cup tournament, man, I cannot stand that tournament. I can't wait for it to be over. I'm more interested in the women's breakout tournament than this silly Heritage Cup tournament. And I want a men's breakout tournament too. Where the hell is that? You know, and why hasn't that not happened yet? Anyway, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are still very interesting. Melo and Ilya Dragunov, that's going to be fun. Wes Lee leaves. That's great because I hate Wes Lee. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. And I'll talk to you guys later.